لا تقل لوحدي أو كيف السبيل.
Humanity sets the agenda.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is exactly 8:39 a.m. This is News and Views right here on Salam Media. And from one human rights violation story, the plight of the Uyghur people, we move on to another human rights abuse story and issues around genocide. Really ethnic cleansing, call it what you will. We move on to Palestine, and we are going to be talking with Humaira Mayed. She's the chairperson of the WITS Palestine Solidarity Committee, in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Today is International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. Now, in 1977, the General Assembly called for the annual observance of 29th of November as the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people, because on that day in 1947, the Assembly adopted the resolution on the partition of Palestine, and that's when all the trouble started for the people of Palestine. They've been displaced and they've been victims of genocide and ethnic cleansing ever since. So let's talk about this day of solidarity with the Palestinian people. Assalamu alaikum to you, Humaira. Thank you indeed for your time and for joining us this morning to talk about this important issue.
Salam, Auntie Julie. Thank you so much for having me.
Lovely to have you here. It is a day of solidarity with the Palestinian people, but it is heartbreaking knowing that many years later, the Palestinian struggle hasn't, nothing has happened as far as the rights of the Palestinian people are concerned. Their condition has worsened rather than improved. And the international community's eyes just seem to be closed on this situation, or they're just totally disinterested. Where do we stand on this issue, Humaira?
So like you mentioned, this is adopted in 1997, where they did that there would be a people. Now, if things have gotten worse, not better, and it's really to see the international community be closed off from this too. But we do hear movements and human rights movements and political movements raising awareness.
Humaira, can I just ask you to please not move around? Could you possibly just stand still where you are, because you're breaking up and I don't want to lose the essence of this very important talk.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Okay. Yes, I was saying, like, even though you may not see the higher ups, for example, presidents and governments talking about the issue of the Palestinians, it can't be denied that within the grassroots movement, speaking about things are happening, there is real, tangible solidarity.
What do we do on this day of solidarity with the Palestinian people? We here at Salam Media, being humanitarian, all about humanitarian journalism, we try and keep all of these stories alive as much as we possibly can. But what more can we do as South Africans and the global community to ease the plight of the Palestinian people?
So when questions like this come about, I like to bring to the fore the quote by Samora Machel, the late president of Mozambique, who said, "International solidarity is not an act of charity, it's an act of unity between allies fighting on different terrains toward the same objective." And as this day approaches and as we experience it, we must remember that we are allies with the Palestinian people. As we know, Nelson Mandela said, our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. And we have to keep that fighting spirit alive. We have to remember, we have to provide support and solidarity to the Palestinian people, of course, in the same way we provided to South Africa. But that's not the only reason we have to provide it. We have to provide it because we stand against injustice. And that is at the core of any humanitarian action, any political action, any revolutionary action. And that's, I think, what we have to take away from this day, most of all.
So, Humaira, we do know that in response to the call of the United Nations, various activities are undertaken annually all around the world by governments and, of course, by civil society as well. This is in support of the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. What are we doing? What's happening at WITS today and other campuses and in South Africa as, at large?
Fortunately, we aren't able to have anything at WITS today, but yesterday at WITS we had a theatre performance remembering the Palestinians, their struggle, the role activism plays in allowing solidarity to come about between us and the Palestinians. And today there were Echoes of Solidarity exhibition in Troyville, hosted by the Afro-Middle East Center, to allow people to dwell on what solidarity with the Palestinians means and how we can go about furthering that.
Okay, in closing then, Humaira, going forward, today is the day of solidarity with the Palestinian people. Lest we forget tomorrow, next week or next month, how do we keep their struggle alive in our minds and in our midst?
I think it's most important to remember that what the Palestinians are going through is something so inhumane and something so difficult to experience that we cannot turn a blind eye. We cannot idly by while they experience this sort of injustice. And we have to make it our mission to raise awareness, to talk about it, to allow their struggle to not go unnoticed, and to allow ourselves to grant ourselves really the permission to talk about these things, to bring them into the mainstream, to open discussions, open dialogues, talk about them, focus on what it is that they're going through, and try to discuss ways to develop this sort of tangible solidarity, which would really help the Palestinians in their cause.
Humaira Maya, Chairperson of the WITS Palestine Solidarity Committee, thank you indeed for your passion for the struggles of the Palestinian people. Please keep that committee alive, and let's keep the struggle alive in our hearts, in our minds, and here in South Africa, so we can and will make a meaningful difference for the Palestinian people. Shukran for your time. Go well, and Salaam Alaikum to you.
Thank you so much. Wa alaikum salam.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.